Rafael Devers is clearly the face of the Boston Red Sox franchise, but where do the other position players stand in the rankings? Find out on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And want to know the best part? It's all for free. So if you're looking for something that's free and entertaining and makes you feel like you can connect, this is the show for you. I promise you, my emotions will match yours. And we are here every day, no matter what the Red Sox put us through and what kind of emotions we're feeling. So Locked On is your team every day. Welcome to another episode of the show. I hope you had a wonderful holiday weekend and you were able to relax maybe and spend some quality time with people close to you and that you just had a great time. And we are here with another episode of the show. And Rafael Devers is somebody who's worth talking about right now because he has been on a tear of just very good hitting, and it's nice to see because he started off the season not very good at the plate. He was striking out a lot and not making a lot of contact, which is definitely not something you want to see from somebody who just signed a big contract extension with the team and is going to be the face of the franchise for years to come. You want him to be able to perform. And at the beginning of the season, we couldn't really say that he was doing that. So then he got injured and missed some time due to being on the injured list. And that certainly has to be considered when it comes to his slow start to the season and the fact that he wasn't hitting well. I mean, when a player is injured, it significantly could impact their ability to perform well. So I think his injury started well before he actually got placed on the IL. So that was something that to me caused him to not be hitting as well. Then he got injured, then he came back. And since he came back, he's been very reliable at the plate. I mean, he went on a streak of 6 games in a row where he hit a home run, which set a new Red Sox franchise record. So that's pretty cool for him to be able to walk away with that record and say that was him who set that new record. So definitely has been super fun to watch him as of late, and he is still the face of the franchise. He will be for a long time. I mean, people don't realize how good he actually is sometimes. Definitely gets the job done, drives in runners, and at the end of the day, you're always going to trust Devers. At the end of the day, you're always going to find yourself in crunch time saying things like, I want Devers to be the one at the plate right now. And that just shows how good of a player he actually is, and it's very telling. So he, to me, is still the face of the franchise and still the most reliable and number one on the list in terms of position players for the Boston Red Sox. But on today's show, I'm also going to be ranking the other Red Sox position players in terms of where they stand on the list right now, what they can do to improve, and what they can do to help the team even more moving forward. Because every player has strengths and weaknesses. It's just part of the game, but some players have more strengths than others, and some players have more weaknesses than others. So I'm going to be diving into who stands where in terms of position players for this team and where I think they fit. So I already said Devers is number one. He has to be, even though he doesn't have the highest batting average on the team. There's more than batting average to consider when it comes to a hitter. And that's why on today's show, I'm not going to put as much focus on just the batting average of these players because, yes, it's great that they are getting hits and maybe having the highest batting average on the team. But to me, to be a good hitter, you need to be versatile too. And just a batting average can't always tell that about these players. So from watching the games and seeing guys in certain situations, that's more where I got these rankings from than just their batting average. So with Devers being number one from that standpoint, he'll continue to hit well, and by the end of the season we'll find ourselves saying that again he was one of the best hitters on the team. So that's really a no-brainer for me. Number two to me is Jarren Duran, and there are a couple reasons for this. Number one is that he has the speed to be able to make his way around the base paths quickly. So if he hits a single, more often than not, he turns that into a double because he's fast. So he's able to make more out of less. A lot of hitters can't do that. If they hit a single, chances are they're going to be at first base, and that's what the hit is going to be. There are a lot of hitters who will try to stretch that out to a double and end up getting thrown out, and it's not successful for them. But Jarren Duran is most of the time successful with that just because he's too fast for the outfielders to throw him out at second base. So that's something that makes Jarren Duran special and is consistently going to keep him at the top of the list. But your speed alone is not going to make you towards the top of the list as a hitter. You have to be able to hit too, and Jarren Duran has been doing exactly that. He's picked up right from where he was last year in terms of his athleticism and ability to get himself on base and generate hits. He hits home runs. He hits a lot of balls to multiple areas of the ballpark, and even though it seems like it might be a single, again, it ends up appearing as a double on the stat sheet, and it makes his stats a lot more glamorous. So I really like Jarren Duran. There is so much upside to him, and I hope he continues to show off that athleticism because he has to be recognized for his ability to hit and make hard contact, but also continue to round the bases as quickly as he does. It's not only his speed that gets him to where he is. He really is hitting well, and he is making hard contact, and he's hitting it into the outfield a lot of the time. So that's definitely key. And defensively, he's made some nice plays out there, and I just like that he can stretch himself to different aspects of the field. So there's so much about Jarren Duran that he has going for him. So I'm putting him as number two on the list. And keep in mind on this list, I didn't incorporate current injured players. So Tristan Casas is not on the list. Masataka Yoshida is not on the list. Two core players that you would associate with this Boston Red Sox team. But since they are not currently in the lineup, I did not put them on the list. Number three is a player who you may be a little bit surprised about, but shouldn't be when you hear the reasoning for it. And that is Connor Wong. I mean, talk about a guy who's been absolutely clutch in a lot of different ways. At the plate, he's delivering with a lot of big hits in clutch situations. He's done it so many times throughout this season where the Red Sox needed somebody to get a big hit with runners on base, and he came up. And a lot of times he's done this with 2 outs too, and he's been able to drive runs in. And that's a quality that a good hitter needs to have. And something I've really liked about Connor Wong's game this year is that he's really improved in that plate discipline area, being able to make harder contact, be more confident at the plate, and he's changed his approach in terms of what he's swinging at when. So I really like his ability to be able to get himself on base and just continue to drive in runs. I mean, he's hitting well over 300 right now, around 350, and that's impressive for a catcher, but also for him, considering the fact that he hasn't been the most standout hitter over the last few seasons. So I really like what I'm seeing for him at the plate, and not even just that, but on top of that, he's been a very good defensive catcher, especially his arm and his ability to throw out guys who are trying to steal second base. I mean, he's caught a lot of base runners trying to do that this year, and that's something that's so important for a catcher to have. So that adds to his resume of being a key piece to this team as a position player is his ability to throw guys out. So I'm putting Connor Wong as number 3 on the list. Can this all change at some point? Sure. But right now he deserves that spot because he has been very good for the Red Sox this year, both as a fielder and as a hitter. So I'm very happy for Connor Wong. So hopefully he continues that. And coming up, I'm going to be continuing my list of how I'm ranking my position players for the Red Sox, and you definitely will not want to miss it. You know that instant confidence boost you get from an outfit that makes you look really good? That's what I get with Stitch Fix. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist who understands your style, size, and budget. They do all the shopping for you. It's the easiest way to update your wardrobe this season. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget preferences. I order boxes when I want and how I want, no subscription required. And they send 5 just for me pieces, plus outfit recommendations and pro styling advice. I keep what works and send back the rest. Style that makes you feel as good as you look. Get started today at stitchfix.com/MLB and get $20 off your first fix. That's stitchfix.com/MLB for $20 off. stitchfix.com/MLB. Must redeem within 7 days of sign up. I'm telling you, you will be riding in style if you use Stitch Fix. So absolutely check it out today. You know what you also should check out is PrizePicks. If you are looking for a fun way to play daily fantasy sports, PrizePicks is the #1 sports fantasy app with more than 3 million members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. PrizePicks has something for every sports fan, from baseball and basketball to League of Legends and everything in between. You can pick LeBron, Shohei Ohtani, Connor McDavid, and Jude Bellingham all in the same entry. Connor McDavid, funny story, he actually scored the game-winning goal for the Oilers in double overtime last week in the Stanley Cup semifinals, game 1. Absolutely crazy. Always a good guy to make picks on. It's also really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's a first deposit match up to $100 if you download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. It's PrizePicks. Don't you love easy? I mean, it really will make your life so much less complicated, and you can win money. So check it out today. Also, check out Locked On Sports today, as our network has launched the first ever national sports streaming channel on YouTube, and it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. So if you're looking to stay caught up in all things going on in sports, that absolutely is the place for you. So check it out today. On today's show, I am ranking Red Sox position players in terms of their contributions to this team and what they bring to the table overall. Rafael Devers has to be in the #1 spot. He just is the face of the franchise. He's going to continue to hit now for years to come, and it would be hard to put him anywhere else, despite the fact that he doesn't have the best batting average on the team right now. Jarren Duran is 2, and Connor Wong is 3. So that's what you missed if you're just tuning in now. And just a reminder that it's not all about batting average, everybody. There are so many more metrics that evaluate a hitter and so many more things that a hitter can bring to the table to be valuable instead of just their batting average. So I'm really ranking these guys not so much on their batting average per se, but how they are overall as a hitter and a player. What do they bring defensively to the table? So going to my number 4 spot, considering everything that this person provides offensively and defensively in this current moment, I have to go with Wilyer Abreu. Now, Wilyer has been very impressive this season. Small sample size last year, was called up in September. We didn't get to see a lot of what he could do then, but I was excited for him to be back this year and see what he could do with this Red Sox team, because he definitely showed a lot of potential at that point. So I really was eager to see what he could bring. So he has been nothing but excellent this season. At the plate, he started off slow in the very early stages of the season, but he's since found himself and he has been absolutely raking. He hits his home runs, he scores runners, he delivers with hits, and he is finding ways to get himself on base and be relevant and be valuable in this offense. And I had a feeling he was going to be able to come in and contribute, but I needed to see it firsthand before I jumped to the conclusion that he was going to be a player that I was really going to be excited about and be able to rely on to perform in the big moments. So Wilyer Abreu has to be next on the list because of the fact that he has performed very well this year overall. The next player on my list, number 5, is a player who started off very strong with this team, then kind of toned down a little bit and went through a bit of a slump, and now is starting to rack together some hits again, and that is Tyler O'Neill. And the biggest reason why I have Tyler O'Neill this high is because of his defense. He makes such a big impact defensively that it'd be difficult to not put him high up on the list, because that's really what he's here for. But his bat has absolutely been a bonus in terms of the fact that he very clearly has a power bat that can hit those home runs and go deep. And if you consider everything, he is one of those hitters right now who can be clutch and can get the big hits when needed. So I have to keep Tyler O'Neill high up on the list, even though he was injured for a portion of the season and had to come back and was scuffling a little bit. I feel like he's still super important to this team because he brings more than just a power bat, and he has the defense to be able to succeed as well. The next player on the list is another player who spent some time on the injured list, and it's very difficult right now because it seems like the Red Sox just have so many injuries that have plagued them, and it seems like I'm using the word injury with a lot of these players, but it's true because a lot of these guys have spent some time on the IL this year, and this next player has also done that in Rob Refsnyder. The reason I'm putting Rob Refsnyder where he is because he doesn't deserve to be at the very top. He doesn't play enough or contribute enough to be able to be considered a top-notch player on this team. And when he is out there, he does have his defensive blunders. I mean, there was a game last week where he made a few mistakes in the same inning defensively, and it cost the Red Sox a lot of runs. He didn't have straight throws to home plate when he was trying to throw guys out, and he misplayed a ball, and it was just a rough inning for Refsnyder defensively, so that definitely knocked him down a little bit. But offensively, you can't discredit how good he is against left-handed pitching, and his ability to be clutch when he's pinch hitting and drive in a run or at least advance base runners is indescribable. He does that so often, and then when he's a regular person in the lineup and he's not just pinch hitting, he still is doing it. He still is getting those hits, and he's having a very quiet season, but a good one in terms of the fact that he's able to get guys in and he's able to get himself on base. So I enjoy Rob Refsnyder. He definitely does need to grow in his defensive stats, but overall, his offense is definitely valuable to this team. Then we're coming up on a player who's kind of in the opposite situation as Rob Refsnyder, who has good defensive skills but has been struggling at the plate in Sadam Rafaela. I was really excited for him going into this season. He was a top prospect in the Red Sox system prior to being called up to the majors. There was a lot of hype surrounding him and his ability to be able to perform at a high level with this Red Sox team. So I was curious to see what he really could do to make an impact with this franchise. So going into this season, I was wondering if he was going to be able to improve in the category of plate discipline, because last year he was very swing happy and he wasn't really taking walks. He was just swinging at whatever pitch came his way. And while I respect him wanting to be aggressive, he also has to keep in mind that not every pitch is his, and he needs to work on being able to identify and find his pitch. And for a bit of time there, it seemed like he had broken that streak, and it seemed like he had really started to learn to break out of trying to be so aggressive all the time and take things a little bit slower and try to wait out the at bat until he finds his pitch. But after a short stint of hitting a little bit better and working pitch counts more, he's gone back to struggling at the plate, and he has not overall provided a lot of offense for this team. And that's something that we expected, because the Red Sox don't have him around for his offense. His offensive ratings have never been super good. He was never ranked very highly as a high caliber offensive prospect. He's here for his defense, and that's a reason why I'm having him in the middle of the pack in terms of current position players right now, because he definitely deserves to be talked about in terms of the miraculous defensive plays that he's made. And honestly, that's more important than it may seem to some people, because of the fact that the Red Sox have struggled on defense a lot over the last couple seasons. Having somebody like Rafaela, who can excel defensively both in the infield and in the outfield, has been an absolute game changer for this Boston Red Sox team. So it's hard not to value what he's been doing from that standpoint. He's made some great plays that have robbed opposing hitters of a base hit that has scored runs. He's saved quite a few runs this year, and that's both when he's been playing shortstop and when he's played in the outfield. So that needs to be considered, because if you have a player like Rafaela, he's athletic, so he'll be able to play really good defense, cover a lot of parts of the field, and he definitely has the speed too. He's beat out some close plays at first base before this season. So that's another thing to watch from him too, is he provides value in terms of his base running. He can hit a sacrifice bunt and maybe sometimes be safe, and that's the cool thing about it. Or if it's a squeeze bunt, he can get to first base on that a lot of the time too. So definitely something to watch out for from him is that athleticism, his ability to run the bases, and his ability to play good defense. So that's why I'm putting him where I am. I do hope that he improves in his offense, because I'm not saying he gets a pass in that area at all. Definitely something that he needs to grow on, but he definitely has time because he's still young and is still developing. Where does everybody else stand in terms of position players? Have I not mentioned your favorite player yet in this Boston Red Sox infield, outfield, or as a catcher? I don't know, but you might want to tune in to find out where they stand. If you're ever trying to score last minute tickets for any sort of event, Game Time 100% has your back. I can speak from personal experience on this, because I've actually used Game Time before to get tickets for concerts and sporting events, and it was an absolute game changer because it gave me the view from the seat so I could see exactly what I was looking at, making sure I didn't have any sort of obstructed view. And it's fantastic because you can just click on the seat and see how much that specific ticket is, so it makes it easier to compare it to other ticket vendors. And if you find something cheaper on another ticket vendor, you can let Game Time know and they'll lower their prices for you. So it's a great way for them to feel connected with people trying to purchase tickets, and I've had nothing but good experiences with them getting tickets for very reasonably priced. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. When I tell you they will guarantee you the absolute lowest price, that is 100% true, I promise you. So head to Game Time today. Also, this is a reminder to subscribe to Locked On Sports today. You can get that on YouTube or on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. It's a great way to stay caught up in all things going on in sports, as me and all of the rest of your local experts from Locked On and our national shows covering every league will keep you up to date on everything going on. So be sure to check out Locked On Sports today if you're looking for a great way to stay caught up in everything. On today's show, I'm ranking Red Sox position players in terms of where they stand on this Red Sox team right now. And I left off with Ceddanne Rafaela, who is about middle of the pack because he provides a lot of value defensively, but not so much value at the plate. So that's definitely something that I would love to see him improve in. But takeaway so far is that the Red Sox outfield is really pretty talented when it comes down to it at the end of the day, especially if you have the combination of Jarren Duran, Ceddanne Rafaela, Wilyer Abreu, and Tyler O'Neill. If you stick O'Neill in left field, Duran in center field, and Abreu in right field, that's a really good defensive outfield you have out there. And all three of them have shown success at the plate this year, too. And then if you replace one of them with Ceddanne Rafaela, I mean, the defense there is good. So from an outfield standpoint, the Red Sox are actually in a really good place at this current moment. Just to reiterate, in case you weren't tuning in earlier, I'm not incorporating injured players into this list right now, just guys who have been contributing over the last couple months of the season. So moving on with the list, the next player that I'm going to put on here right below Ceddanne Rafaela is a player who had a very hot streak to start the season. He has since cooled down, but he definitely has been able to produce a good amount, and that is Reese McGuire. Now remember, Reese is a backup catcher. Connor Wong is the number one catcher, and the catching tandem was impressing a lot early on. And I think Reese has come a little bit back down to earth in terms of where he stands and where his ability level is at, because he hasn't been hitting nearly as well as he was hitting at the beginning of the season, not consistently driving in runs or recording hits, but he is continuing to show plate discipline, and he definitely has a good eye at the plate, and that's something I really like about Reese. And when it comes to everything that he does, he definitely is an average catcher overall, because he doesn't really have the same defensive technique as Connor Wong has, but offensively, he has contributed a decent amount this season. I'm hoping he gets his numbers back up a little bit and that he's able to contribute more. He did hit a massive home run last week, so that was pretty cool. So I'm hoping that he can continue to hit. He is not hitting at the same rate as Connor Wong, but definitely getting the job done and doing what he needs to do. So I'm putting Reese McGuire in that spot for that reason. And then right below him is a player who spent pretty much all of this season until recently on the injured list, and that is Romy Gonzalez. He's been an interesting player because the Red Sox didn't really know what to expect from him. They brought him in, and he had an expectation to perform, especially because of the fact that the Red Sox have injuries, so they really need him to perform, and they need everybody on this team to perform. And he strung together some nice hits for sure. Hasn't had a crazy amount of blunders defensively yet, so I haven't had any reason to knock Gonzalez down, but I haven't had a reason to knock him up either because he hasn't been out of the park overly impressive yet. So I'm waiting for him to have a breakout part of the season before I move him up on the list. So Romy Gonzalez is definitely towards the bottom right now, but not to say he can't move up because I've seen the potential there. I've seen the way that he is swinging the bat, and he definitely has some nice hits that he's been able to put out there. So I'm just hoping that he's able to continue with that and grow on his performances at the plate and continue the defense that he's been putting up. Finally, here, there are a couple players who have been pretty tough to watch with this Red Sox team, although one of them I feel like might be starting to hit a little bit better and heat up, fingers crossed. And that is Dominic Smith. I mean, talk about absolutely abysmal when he first got here. Not making contact, very poor hitting, and just really taking up space. I mean, the Red Sox are in a tough situation with first base right now because of Casas being injured and not being able to contribute to this Red Sox lineup or contribute at first base. So I get that, but the replacement options are not great. And Dom Smith being one of them is not a super thrilling feeling for sure. But he's actually had some moments in a Red Sox uniform where he's come up big and driven and run. So I can't put Dom Smith all the way at the bottom right now because of that. Still can't wait for Casas to come back because he is definitely not a sustainable option. He used to be good, but I think he's past his best days, and here and there he'll string together some hits where he'll come through for the Red Sox, but overall not very good. So I have to keep him at the bottom of the list, but not the very bottom, because you know who is at the very bottom right now is a player who has been platooning with him at his same position, and that is Garrett Cooper. I mean, Garrett Cooper to me has been an extremely tough watch this year. This guy can not figure it out at the plate. I mean, talk about a guy who comes in with a lot of expectations to take over at first base and help fill that void while Casas is gone. And not only is he just not hitting at all, but he's also had his blunders at first base too. So I am not high at all on Garrett Cooper. He is at the bottom of the list right now in terms of position players. I can't wait for the time when we part ways with him. I'm hoping that he starts to heat up a little bit more as the season progresses, but for right now he's got to stay at the bottom of the list because oh my gosh, talk about a guy who just has not been able to perform and come through in really any capacity of the game. So I feel badly that I'm kind of dumping on him, but it is what it is. He hasn't really done a lot of things well, so hopefully he can change that moving forward. And there is another player that I didn't put on this list, and that is because I do suspect that he's going to end up getting sent back down to AAA soon, and that is David Hamilton. I do feel like when Casas comes back, he could be the guy that gets sent down, although I would prefer for it to be Garrett Cooper, that he just gets DFA'd because especially the fact that he plays the same position as Casas, it might make more sense. But I think the Red Sox might send David Hamilton back down to AAA at that point. But if I were to put him anywhere on the list, it would be towards that bottom half for sure. It would be in the group where I put guys like Reese McGuire and Dominic Smith, probably somewhere in that range. And I would put him above them because of his speed. He definitely provides a lot of value in terms of the fact that he's very fast and he can get to second base very quickly after getting on first. He can steal, but the problem is that he doesn't get on first very easily because he doesn't string together a lot of hits and he doesn't have a ton of plate discipline. And I can tell he's definitely trying to grow his game at the plate, but I still need to see more improvement from him. From a defensive standpoint, I definitely have to give him credit because he has improved since the beginning of the season, but I definitely need to see more from him to really be sold on him. So there you have it. That is my ranking of current position players that are on this team right now and where they stand. As the season progresses, I'll be doing this again because guys will be returning from injury and there will be roster moves made. So it'll be interesting to see what those are. But we are officially now getting through the first couple months of the season. So since I like to break the season down into first couple months, second couple months, and third couple months, this was a good time to really sit back and reflect on how these players are performing. So as always, keep the faith. Hope that some of these guys can move up on the list because that just means more overall productivity for the Red Sox, which makes us all happy. Have a great day today. Go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.